All right, welcome everybody to the weekly Acti game event. It is another sunny day, and we are super excited
It
to be
is.
here talking about communicating across different cultures and different
Yeah.
communication styles. And we are actually really excited about this because we know this is one of the issues that are happening on a big scale out there. Like, as soon as miscommunications are there, you have the whole shebang of troubles.
Also
Um,
here. Also here, right, Ida?
Also in the acti. So of course I've brought our beautiful Isabella with me today from our sales department, and she's going to help me facilitate today's event. And then I also have the pleasure of introducing Mandy Schroeder. Schroeder, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that a little bit wrong, who is an independent facilitator, which is a very cool title, I think. And you are maybe going to start working with the Active platform, so you're just waiting for your certification to be finalized. So I think it's really, really cool that you wanted to help us out today here, because you are actually a little bit of a communication wizard, or at least you have a lot of experience with working with communication, Mandy. But do you want to
Yes,
just quickly mention a little bit about yourself for the
ye-
audience?
yes, absolutely. Yes, so my name is Mandy Schreuder indeed, and I am a facilitator of collective intelligence seminars actually for international big groups. So I intervene in big industrial groups that have BUs all over the world and that want to, let's say, enhance their cooperation and their collaboration across cultures. So it's yeah, I do a lot of communicating across cultures all the time, let's say, and I do help these companies to actually yeah, improve their ways of doing that. So I'm passionate about the topic that is related to intercultural issues, and therefore I'm happy to be here today and to discover the game with you.
We're so happy that you could take the
Yeah.
time to do it, Mandy, and even more so now that that you can be our fresh eyes on this communications game, because it's actually, I think it's already in 2020 that we created this game, and it's still really, really valuable. It's still one of the games that we're using the most in Acti, I think.
Yeah.
Isabella's nodding, so I think I'm
Yeah,
telling the
yeah.
truth.
But it's
Um,
increased in popularity over the last couple of years, I must admit. So
yeah.
it's it's important that we're also talking about it now and analyzing it a little bit from a expert point of view, Mandy.
Okay, great.
Definitely. But before we dig into the game itself, I just quickly want to run through a little bit about what is Acti and who are we and so on for the people here who do not know us. Actually, if you want, those of you viewing live, if you don't know Acti, just message in the chat if you want. I'm new, then we will know. But anyway, we will quickly just talk a little bit about what is Acti, who are we, and what do we do. Then we will look into the game that we are going to make you guys play and that we will also play alongside with you. And then we will show you the facilitation view or the host view, the backside of the platform where we gather all of the data, and we can really sort of dig into the nerdy side of what communication styles we are using the most and so on. And of course, then we'll open up in the end for a few questions if we have time. Um, so that's what we're going to be doing for the next 55 minutes. I think it's going
But
to
let's
be a
start out with
blast.
a jingle, Ida. We start out with a little jingle.
All right. A little bit of energy.
Yes, that's
All
needed
right.
here end of the day, right?
Absolutely. And then we'll dig into some tough and heavy info, and then we'll have fun again with the game. All right. There we go. So, what is Acti? This is sort of quick overview of our world. What are we? Plus small, 20 years old of age. We have over 120 games and simulations. Of course, more games are being developed all the time.
Every day.
Some go public, some are private, and of course, those that are private, we of course are not showing you guys, but they're making so many public games with so many cool trends and theories and stuff. So basically, the sky's the limit for what games you want to create, what theories it should be about, what topic even. It can be really anything. And there are already over 50 theories and methodologies applied in the platform, making it super easy to, if you want to make a game with one of our most used theories, it's more or less plug and play. You don't even have to add that layer really. And we have over 2,500 certified partners worldwide, of course. This number is also growing, and it's super cool. And the more partners we get, the more ideas are kind of put into the pile, and the more cool games are being developed. So we're just really excited about these numbers that are always just growing.
Yeah, so fun. It's so fun.
And our games, of course, are organized with a focus in organizational development, but we are, of course, addressing most pains that exist out there. And we have sort of three main game boards. We have our bubbles, we have our barometer, and we have our cycle. And each of those are sort of specified to one kind of pain. But I think having realized now after so many years that these pains can't really be separated. No matter what game you are dealing with, you will probably be addressing at least 5 or 6 of these pains that you are seeing in this list here. So of course today we will be working with cross-cultural communication, but that doesn't mean we won't also be working with leadership or with teamwork or with inclusivity and diversity. So as I think I want to try to say that it's a game and it's fun, but it's actually very, very complex when you dig into the different pains that you are addressing.
You're saying it the perfect way, Ida.
Thank you. But you will also see this as soon as we get you playing. All right. And the game today is a game called Cross-Cultural Communications. And it is, as I mentioned earlier, it's actually one of our most played and used games out there. And the situation of it all is that there is this company that have been kind of having miscommunicating departments, which has ended up making a lot of deadlines slide, so that a lot of frustrations are of course passing in this company, and the environment for these people is just not great because everybody is a little bit angry at each other and nobody's communicating clearly. There is this new project that you have to kind of be able to sell this new subscription solution, and you have been put in charge of leading this process. So you of course have to both make sure that the subscription solution gets published or gets launched, but you also have to make sure that there's communication happening in this team between the different departments, so that the work itself is kind of nice. Nobody really likes being in a hostile work environment. I think everybody can nod in agreement saying that it is probably the absolute worst thing to be annoyed at your colleagues. Like, one thing is to be annoyed at a task that you can deal with, but being annoyed at another person you have to see every single day, that is tough. So actually, before we move on a little bit into the more gamified details of this game, I'm a little bit curious, Isabella, about your experiences with the communicating, because at Acti we are a very international bunch. Like, we are definitely working in different departments, but we are also all from different countries and with different backgrounds. Have you ever experienced hands-on this miscommunication and how it can actually really affect every aspect of your work life?
Sure. I think everyone has, and I think it's no matter the background or knowledge, or I think of course I have both with the CEO of the company, but also with the colleagues from other departments. If sometimes there is miscommunication or we are a lack of listening to each other, I think that's one of the elements which is most important when we have to communicate something. No matter if it's something you don't understand or you do understand, that intent of listening to one another is so important when you communicate. And that's at least for one of the situations that I have in mind right now. That was kind of the solution of it. Okay, start listening, and then we can conclude from there how we move forward, and just not communicate your first thought before you listen to what is the issue, or what is it this person actually want to convey in the communication. So of
Okay,
course,
so it sounded like you kind of maybe got a little bit sucked into the communicating of your own parts, so that you weren't maybe listening so much to each other.
I
Is that
think
maybe
so.
correct?
Yeah. And then miscommunication kind of happened because we were so maybe caught up with what we wanted to convey in the conversation and communicate, instead of actually listening to what the other person wanted to convey in their communication, and then miscommunication happened. So if I took one step back and actually started to listening, and then maybe I didn't agree, but once I then started to listen, then I could understand how to move forward in the conversation, right? And I think it's a very typical communication aspects. Maybe Mandy, you could agree or disagree, but I think it is. I hope I'm not unnormal. Or I hope I'm very normal in that sense.
Yes, you are. It's absolutely, very much aligned with what I experience all the day all day. And then, of course, when you have, different cultures, like different nationalities in the room, there's a different, an additional difficulty, let's say, that is added to that misinterpretation and miscommunication, and it happens so quickly that it's always good to work on our listening skills and to improve that, right? And to take that step back, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It sounds like the very classic 2 ears, 1 mouth. Do double the listening to the speaking, right? Or
Yeah,
was
and then
it
it's also the
just me?
element of, like, how can I come back with a quick answer, or and then you stop listening just because you want to come back with a quick and good answer to what was just told or said to you. So yeah.
We're going to get a chance to dig much more into these areas when we enter the game. But before we get too carried away with this, I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about what you're actually going to be keeping your eyes on in the game. So your role, as I mentioned, is that you of course have to lead the team. You have to make sure that you reach a launch of a new subscription, but you also have to make sure that the working environment isn't necessarily hostile. You have to make sure that there's communication happening between the departments, and that they are actually cooperating in completing this mission. And when you enter the platform, you will see these elements on your board. And this is sort of the things to watch. These are your indicators of how well you are doing. So to the left here, you see you have 2 main goals of this game. You have to get the product to launch, so actually move the mission, right? But you also have to create cooperation. 2 goals. And then you have actually 8 communication bubbles that you get to sort of keep an eye on. And these communication bubbles are actually based off Daniel Goleman's 6 leadership styles, but to kind of create a better understanding about how you communicate. Daniel Goleman, in addition, then created these 8 communication styles, as you see here. And I think we should dig a little bit more into them in the chapters. I think that's an easier way of getting to kind of understand how you use the bubbles. But you can kind of see how the more you fill them up with color, the better it is. Like the higher the number, the more hope you are communicating, or the more direction you are communicating. But I hope it will make a little bit more sense once we enter the game, and we will discuss it a little further.
Yes.
Once you finish playing the game, you will then get this beautiful diagram, which is actually showing you which of the different communication styles are you actually using the most. So you get this data profile afterwards showing you, okay, you are actually a very developing communicationist, or so. And you will also get a leadership style, but for today we are focusing on the communication styles, and there are 8 of those. All right. I'm going to stop talking so much and I'm just going to show you how you guys in a minute get into the game. I think I did a lot of talking now, so let's just for a quick second do a little dance.
Ooh, shake it up.
All right.
Yes, we needed that.
Yeah, sorry. I got a little carried away listening to
Carried
my own
away.
voice.
Okay.
I need
I
to
think
do the
Mandy
2
and I
ears,
are
1
ready
mouse.
to play.
Yeah. Okay. So in a minute, I'm going to make sure that you guys get a link. It's going to come in your chat. But until then, I am just going to show you over here. Once you click the link, you will get to a guest login page like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my name. Here you can choose your position of your occupation. It's not super relevant for today's game event, but I'm going to show you on the back side why this is a super cool feature when you are playing the games. I'm just going to add student because why not? Young and everything.
Young
Here you
gun.
go. It's been a while. You can actually see here there is actually a handout that if you are facilitating the game, you can download some resources like the questions and the style, and you can change the languages, but that's not what you're here for. You are just going to play the game. And it's going to load for a second. And I think you can skip the tutorial because I'm going to give you a speed tutorial here right in front of you. First, you're going to get some introduction texts to the scenarios that we are playing. So this is basically what I just explained to you about why are we playing the game, what is your position, and what are the challenges you are going to be faced with. I really, really recommend that you read these thoroughly because it's going to help you when you make your choices. So actually you jump straight into your first choice once you play this game. So what I'm going to do is I'm just randomly going to choose one choice so you get to see the game board. So here we are, as I showed you, you have your eight communication bubbles, which will move up and down depending on which choices you make. So the choices will affect your 2 goals here. Of course, the goal is to get to 100. But it will also move the way you are communicating. Maybe you are communicating something very directly. Of course, your goal will move forward, like you're moving closer to the launch. But maybe you are creating a lot of frustrations or misunderstanding in your team, which would make these bubbles go down. And of course, cooperation would also go down because yes, you are moving the main goal along, the launch along, but the team is just a mess. So these are the 2 elements you have to kind of balance. And it's super difficult because once you focus on the one, the other one will of course move the opposite direction. So that is your challenge in this game. How do you do both at the same time? And this is of course your main overview you will get here after every choice you make. You can also click up here and get some team insights. So here you actually get to see the team. And you can even further go in and click and see their personalized game board, how they are feeling with this. So that's a little extra you can see. And then you can click back to game board here. So that's the team insights. And of course, as you progress through the game, you just click continue.
Awesome.
The last thing I want to mention about this game is that this is an hour delegation game. So that means that for each chapter, there are only 3. You actually have, I think, 20 hours you have to delegate. And you can see the choices that you get to choose between here. This says 5 hours. This says 10 hours. So you have 20. So you somehow have to make it add up with the choices that you make. But I think it makes sense once you are in it and playing. Did I forget to say anything crucial, Isabella?
I don't think you did. I think it also makes sense once we start playing the first chapter, also for everyone out there joining.
Yes.
And we
So
will
I
be
think-
commenting along the way, right, Ida?
Yes, so we're going to play through maybe 1 or 2 chapters here live. If you're playing the game yourself, you can just mute us and join back in when you have played the game, or, listen in as well if you want. But we will go through the game's first chapter probably here on the screen, and we will discuss the insights and facilitation takeaways throughout that process.
Yep.
But I think, Mohammed, if you will send out the link to our participants, and Isabella and Mandy, if you would like to go in, then I think we should play the game.
Amazing.
Okay. So
I
we
must
only
admit-
have, sorry,
Go ahead, Mandy.
I just wanted to say we only have one option, right? That we can select for this first question.
Yeah, first we have to use 20 hours for the first chapter. So how do we start the meeting?
Yeah.
So we can choose 2, or
I think we can choose 2 or 3, right, Ida?
Yeah, 2 or 3, depending if you pick one of the 10 hours one.
yeah, of course. Okay, great, perfect. Thank you.
So if you guys are reading, I'm just quickly going to say the first step here, the first chapter is about is about how you've, of course, been handed this assignment, and you have these 2 goals you need to keep track of. And then what? So how do you actually get started? How do you start creating a work environment where you collaborate together and talk together, and in general just have some communication that's nice. And now I clicked the first one here as I was eager to get to the game board.
But it's actually I don't know if you already made your choice, Mandy. Can you see that, Ida? If you
Yeah, I just clicked on the first one because I thought I could choose several, but now I'm already on the board.
You can along the way. So now you've chosen one, then you get the feedback on the board, and that's the same for everyone joining. When you then click view result and then click continue, you get to the next decisions you can make in the chapter.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I see.
Yeah, so if I'm in the host view here, which is the back end where I can kind of keep track of my players, and I have just selected me, Isabella, and Mandy so that we can kind of see where we are at. And it looks like, at least on the bubbles here in chapter 1, Mandy and I look very much in agreement in the direction and in the hope. And all 3 of us are actually in agreement with openness and responsibility and coping and progress. But Isabella, you definitely chose something different.
Yeah, but I rather want to hear your thoughts, Mandy.
Yeah, I'm still choosing, so I've chosen 2 for the moment. First thing, I think what is important, of course, is to let's say set the objective. So I've chosen that one. What the agenda is, what my role will be. I think then everyone, let's say, is on the same page. But that alone is not enough. I think then we need to, ask everyone who is in the meeting a little bit more about their expectations. On what it is that they would like to do, or what the objections that they might have with regards to the launch of the new product. And I think it's important to listen to everyone that is around the table and that is in the group, because it will help us move forward all together. So that was the additions. That was the second one that I've chosen. And then I was looking at which would be the third. I was thinking something around make something positive. Well, make some positive note. Maybe the help number 8. I was thinking about that one.
Exactly. And I actually took the help as the first one. I was opposite thinking of you. So in the first instance, I thought, okay, the objective would be a good idea. But then I was afraid that it would be too negative in the communication communication too soon. So maybe I would have someone kind of lagging behind and not supporting my way of bringing people together here in the first joint meeting. So I actually went away from the objective onto the help, but I can see both of them are kind of wanting to do the same thing when communicating and getting people together.
Yeah, and I see that responsibility, coping, and progress are not are, let's say, dropping down, right? When with my selection, so I do need to focus on them in the next round.
Okay, would that be your strategy? Like you would kind of keep an eye on these bubbles, and then you would say, okay, these are the ones that I have impacted negatively. Those must be my highest priority next round.
Yes, that could be my strategy for the moment, but I need to think a little bit about that. But yes,
Of course. Okay. But it's good to know this, because I think personally I would probably just try to like, how do I touch all of them at the same time? But
Yeah, at the
Mm.
then
same
I
time.
think you're probably not really touching upon any of them thoroughly enough. We shall see.
I actually think it's a little bit difficult also to get the right order. And I know now I know the game a little bit, but I also know it's not about having the right order. But you kind of want to maybe come up with your own ideas, or you want to say, maybe could I do the help and the objective in the same decision?
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why we're doing the facilitation, also how you could do it out there, right, Ida? I mean,
Exactly.
saying there's no right or wrong way, actually.
But if you guys were like, let's say that you two are actually in this position of a new leader, you just need to kind of kick off this this event. How would you actually create like a common ground or something to kind of bind the team together initially? Do you have any ideas about that, Manny? Like how you would like do the good start off when you're working with like different cultures?
Well, what is important, I think, is that we need to listen to everyone, such that everyone can present a little bit about themselves, like how they work, what they value, what is important to them, what motivates them, and then from that we create some sort of rules. Well, not really rules, but yeah, how do we call them? Some common ground of how we work together, right? And if everyone in the meeting has heard, what the needs and the ways of working of one another are, it creates understanding, and it also creates some respect for one each other, for one another, and I think that helps in order for the team to build some sort of a shared vision or a common ground to work on. Sometimes I would start meetings with, what are the rules of our game, which is something that I would then refer to later on whenever we have a misunderstanding or a misalignment, and it is just something that we can get back to, all of us, in order to let's say smoothen our communication or make it easier for all of us working together. That's an example, I think, but maybe there are some others.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So it's like making them feel included in this team, making their voice be heard, and then also kind of creating this team bonding or like a contract in a team that this is how we want to do it. We now all agree this is what we're going to do. These are the rules we will play by.
Yeah.
I think a couple of things that I liked was the common ground and the shared visions. So when you enter the room and you start to communicate, how can you, between the people in the room, create this common ground or vision around how to talk or how to actually go from A to Z when making a decision about a certain thing, or when we are communicating about something. If you have these sort of rules, I guess it makes it more easy. I like that way of thinking.
Definitely. If I just jump back to the host view here quickly, I have locked us on chapter 1. Do you guys want to move on to the next chapter where we get a little bit more action?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So while you guys, you can just start making your choices if you like. I will just quickly explain here. Oh, I think I have to choose an extra one. There we go. So chapter 2. Across the ramp. So sales are kind of impatiently waiting for their task in this process. Of course, IT are doing what IT does and communication is doing what communication does, but sales can't really sell yet because we're not ready to. And they are having a tough time, I would say, not being out and at it. I think, Isabella, you can probably agree that being in sales and not being able to sell anything is probably not the most fun to be
It
doing.
happens.
But at least these sellers are really kind of critiquing the other departments and are not super excited. They're saying that they are being really, really slow and are generally just not really empathizing or understanding their part in this process. So your job is then to kind of get the sellers to be more understanding of their colleagues in these different departments. So we have some real hostility going on here. And again, you have 20 hours and you get to choose as many as you can fit into those out of these 8 answer options.
Okay.
And yep. Ooh, I think this is a difficult one.
What do you think makes it difficult?
Well, it asks what style do you use, and I feel like it just like we talked about in the first chapter, also what strategy to take, what approach to take. Should we be more positive in our communications? Should we be a little bit more strict? Should we create some sort of direction, more overview?
What do you think, Mandy? Or are we disturbing you in your choice process?
Yeah, I'm still reading it a little
right.
bit, but yeah, there is something around the pace, right? So the pace is an issue, but those who are eager to sell the solution, yeah, need to be, well, that energy, let's say, needs to be used, right? So so we need to do something to use
We
that
need to
energy.
activate them.
Exactly, we need to activate them, and I'm just looking for the right solution on how to activate them. Yeah.
Is that also how you feel, Isabella?
Totally, totally.
Like a little child that needs to be activated.
You don't want to miss out on that motivation and that eagerness to just move along and continue, right? You want to keep that motivation there, but at the same time also not put that pressure on the IT people to launch. So how do you, as a project leader, communicate that in a way? I think I decided now on my first choice, but I'll just let you reply as well, Mandy.
I just did.
Okay, what did you guys choose? Do you want to start off, Mandy?
Yeah, I chose the first one, but I cannot see what the name was now.
Yeah, the forward thinking.
The forward thinking, yes. So the forward thinking for the let's say to use their positive energy, but to use it in a wise way, meaning helping the others on advancing and maybe putting those two departments in context such that they have the feeling that they are advancing together. However, I'm thinking, if they are too eager, they might disturb a little bit the IT folks. But maybe that's the next choice. Then I can do something else as well.
What did you choose, Isabella?
I was also on number 1 at some point, but I actually decided to do number 4, and maybe it was because I was looking a little bit too much on my own profile and who I am, just to be fast and effective, and just let's move, let's do something. But I can now see that when I look through the feedback, that it says that unintended effects of the style may be that the employees become too passive and too hesitant. And that's definitely not what I wanted, right? I don't want them to sit
No.
back and then just cross their arms and not do anything either. So maybe it was not the problem solving communication style I should have focused on here. But maybe more like progress, which is the pace setting, or hope, inspire a little bit more.
Yeah. I think that's funny. So you chose 1 and 4. I chose number 3.
Okay.
Which is kind of like, okay, that's great. You have some time. How can you help them? And how can you help them? I think it's great that you have extra time. Let's go help.
How do
Yeah.
you experience this actually, Mandy, in the organizations when you have such a situation? Like, what are some of the comments from the organization or from the managers when you have such an issue here?
Yeah, I haven't really seen this type of issue exactly, but I mean, when this happens, something similar happens. Of course, yes, I will try to use their energy indeed, and see where, what is it that they can do in order to advance the project. So I think it would be a combination of number 1 and number 3 that will actually, don't put them in a position where they are waiting. Because when I look at, for example, number 6, what is it about, right? Me explaining to the sellers which professional challenges their colleagues are faced with, and then from their experience that they just should be patient. I don't think that is very motivating for them, because they will get bored, that they have nothing to do. It's not that's not very positive, I would say. So always try to see, how can we advance this together, although they cannot really do what it is that they need to do right now. But how can they contribute in a positive way, such that the project will be the product will be ready soon, or maybe they can already start preparing something around, what clients to address first, or do some preparation work, such that when the product is ready, they can launch it in a quicker way than they would normally do, something like that.
Yeah, so you could actually say this in some way is a positive problem, because you actually have energy out there that's just not being utilized, and that is creating these frictions, but you actually then have more energy than you really know what to do with.
Yeah.
So this is allocation is actually the best tip here.
Interesting.
Very cool. I think I wouldn't have known that. I think I would be like, just do something or be quiet. I'm just gonna take another choice.
I will too, but we don't want to see your choice either.
Then
we don't want to see what you're choosing. Look away from the screen. Okay.
And for those of you following the screen, I'm jumping back into the host view so that we can see how we're doing here.
Okay. I took your advice. Both of your advices.
All right. Let me focus on you instead then.
No.
Hey, Isabella. Okay. You have some very full bubbles, Isabella, and
But
then
no
you also have some very
responsibility.
empty bubbles. Did you finish making choices for your
Yep,
chapter 2? You as well, Mandy?
I did. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to select this as well. Okay, you are the same actually, Mandy, as Isabella. You have some very full circles, and then you have some empty, well, not empty, but close to empty circles. Let's not be completely negative. You have 14.
Yeah.
But it looks like you are reaching just over 50 on corporation and 30 on product launch.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts in this chapter actually, Mandy? Were you more on the corporation goal, or were you more on the launch goal, or were both of them factors in your choices?
I was trying to incorporate both of them.
Mhm.
But the first one that I chose was very much corporation, and then the next two were a little bit more on the product launch as well,
Mhm.
because it was very much behind. So now it has moved a little bit, but I indeed see that coping is not moving at all. The middle bubble. So
This one,
yeah, let's see.
coping. Yeah, so you can see it's each bubble is actually also has its own little barometer where you can track the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, so coping, progress, and overview. All right, I'm just gonna click on myself and Isabella again here so we can compare a little bit. And we can see that I think actually you are definitely leading, Mandy. I mean, it's not super surprising to me, but
Me
I think
neither.
it's a good thing that you are leading here. All right. Okay, and what would you say would be the biggest tip in handling a situation like this, Mandy, where you actually have some hostility, or you actually have a conflict almost, kind of almost appearing? How would you deal with that in trying to kind of get out of that situation?
Well, what I would do is get everyone together and then explain the situation. Have everyone listen to what the other team is expressing, and then try again to find some common ground or a common solution, such that everyone is happy again to move forward. But what we need to do is get the tension out of the team as soon as possible, because that's not helping in any way, and it will only be a lack of energy. So yeah, to get that back, and maybe it's a good moment then as well to to remind them of the overall objective, to remind them of the overall timelines, and then to see together what is possible, what is not possible. What type of help do they need from me in order to have, I don't know, additional resources or additional whatever, in order to be able to stick to that deadline or that timeline, and then gain back, let's say, the trust of everyone, and create this how do you say, culture of collaboration between them.
Yeah. That was actually something I thought about while you were speaking, Mandy. How do you create or secure a culture that kind of values these different communication styles, or the way we should communicate? How do you do that as an organization?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's not so easy, but I think my approach would be to listen to everyone, and not to say that one communication style is better than the other, let's say, but that we all have our own ways of doing things, and that in order for everyone around the table to understand everything, we need to make the implicit explicit all the time. So we, as a leader of the meeting, we need to make lots of things that maybe usually we don't make so explicit, make very explicit, because we have different cultures or different styles or different wishes in the room. There's a bit more effort from our role to help them understand each other, and so we are creating bridges all the time between the different varieties of cultures or understandings or ways of doing. So yeah, that's how I see that, and it helps, of course, to create some common understanding and to create this environment of collaboration. But it also asks a lot of deep listening, active listening, reformulation, some writing down of everything that is happening and getting back to that all the time. Yeah.
And there's also the element of emotions I was just thinking about, right? When you communicate the emotions at play in a room, to deal with that as an organization, as a culture, even as an individual communicating in a team. That's I mean, I know it from my own perspective that's difficult. So I guess that's also a part of it. Speaking about culture.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's also making it explicit, right? Because if we sense all that frustration from the commercial team, then we cannot just pretend that frustration is not there, right? Because all the others are sensing it as well, but they might not understand where that frustration comes from. So it's really important for us as well to explain that frustration, that it is there and where it comes from, to make it really explicit for everyone, such that we can create some understanding between the people as well.
Would it make sense in such a situation here to like also speak with the people individually? So if you have this very hostile person who is emotions are going high and it's difficult to kind of control that communication, that can affect the rest of the team. I'm thinking it would be a good idea, but what would your approach be in that situation, Mandy?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's always a good idea to also have if you are the manager of such a team or the project manager of this project, to have individual one-to-ones with all the people to understand also, what's going on and all of that. And if it happens during a meeting, then yes, we need to deal with it. But if it's like, if it's too difficult, let's say, to treat in the
loud,
meeting, or too loud, maybe we can just let everyone know that we will be having a one-to-one, but then we need to feed back to the team, what the next steps are, or what we do with this, or whatever, of course, in order for everyone to be on the same page.
All right, I think that I'm gonna have to just move on a little bit from the game and show you the other side of it, which is one I prepared earlier. This is so once you finish playing the game, you will get to a data profile. And this is sort of where the magic of Acti happens, right? Because this is where you get to gather all of the information on your teams. Like maybe you can see, for example, here's my communication style circle. So you can see each color is kind of representing one of the communication styles. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 colors present, meaning that there are actually 2 communication styles I'm not even touching upon. And the overall goal is to, of course, be able to realize that there are different communication styles that work better for different situations, different people, different scenarios, and of course being able to navigate within. Okay, then how do I best reach this person, or how do I best get my point across? Which style should I then be using? And kind of getting acquainted with that they all, of course, have positive and negative effects. And if you scroll down here, you can see my choices. I've actually I've made two of the same choices. So 2 times I've made involving style and 2 times inspiring, but the others I've just chosen once. But you actually get this really nice feedback of what was positive about this answer that you chose and what was negative about it. And then you can compare to like the average of everybody else who's played this game. How many times would they use this style? And that is this little see-through circle. That is the average of everybody else, and you are, of course, the clear colors. So when you finish playing the game, that's kind of interesting to dig into. On top of that, you can also look at Daniel Goleman's 6 leadership styles, of course. That is a theory layer in this game as well, but we're not going to dig too much into that because we have Mandy here and we would way rather talk about communication. But same principle, you can sort of click in and see how you have divided your focus on the different styles. All right. And you can sort of see, compared to everybody else who's played this game, how is your ranking, how are your styles, what are your skill sets, and how are they growing. So you
And
can
you can
fiddle
play
that
again if
around.
you're not satisfied, right, Ida? Like
Yeah.
if you don't like your communication style, you want to be better at problem solving or be pace setting, then you could do it again.
Exactly. And it says, especially in the Acti office, we are really, really competitive with each other. I'm not going to mention any names, but I think it's the CEO that has an issue not being best. So I think for him, that is a very important button. But it's great because
Okay.
every time you play it, you learn something new, right? And you have some new thoughts to kind of integrate into the process, and then you more or less normally will get a higher score, proving, of course, that you actually are learning whilst you're playing these games. Mandy, you haven't played this game before. You
No.
said to us just before we went live. Now you've kind of seen 2 chapters go through, and you've kind of gotten a vague idea about how the data module works and how you can kind of track your participants in there. How would you see this being useful, applied in real life?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when you explained also, how the different models that come out of it in the end, and that you can see, what it is that you are doing. I think, the options that we can choose give great ideas on what you could be doing, and so it provides a lot of valuable insights, let's say, into what my usual style would be, and what I could be improving or what I could be doing as an alternative. So, for example, if I would be a manager in a team, like, for example, a transversal manager, right? Because they will be dealing with different cultures, for example, or different groups, like in this example that we just saw between IT and sales. If they would go into this exercise, then they will have some alternatives into how they can be going through issues. And I think having those alternatives is a very good way of learning how to do things differently. And the fact that we are choosing the options makes us also realize, what is the communication style that I might want to develop, or I might want to do more of, because there are people in my team who have that style and not me, and all of that. So I think it would be great to do that if you are a manager with your team. If you are a transversal manager, even to do that also with the people in your team could be a great way of spending some time together differently, and then trying to understand each other a bit better, and make all this implicit explicit, as I just mentioned. So that's great. Thank you.
Mandy, I think you just get this.
Yeah.
Because that was just like, perfect summary of how we also see this having some value out in the real world, not just here in the little Acti bubble where we play games for fun. But I think you're really right, and I think another thing that we spend a lot of time talking about here at the office with these, especially talking like as soon as we mention conflict or frustrations, right, is that when you have a real life issue, like it's so difficult to kind of make that helicopter perspective move, right? Where you are looking at the overview, you're taking back, like, this is our mission, let's remember this is what we're fighting for, and creating an overview, right? Whereas if you are dealing with made up people, like maybe you have your own issue, right, at work, but if you then play this game and see how different different choices impacts different people, and you get that step away because you get the overview of your 2 goals, and you get the overview of your bubbles, and how everything you do will change something in the world, because of course it will. I think this is, in my personal opinion, I think even if I was discussing something with Isabella about the coffee machine or whatever. I think still
That did
playing this
have
game with
not
her,
happen at all either. We've never done that before.
never discussed things about coffee. But I think this would be like a really, really good like off ramp to even just start like, okay, when I communicate, this is actually what I'm trying to say with this, and like, yeah, just creating a common language, I think.
Yeah.
And making it less personal because it's not about you, and then more personal because then you transfer it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so. I think so too. I don't know about you, but while now that we're playing it and we're speaking in between the different chapters and the choices, you constantly think about your own situation or how did you handle that specific situation that you just brought up as an example for the choice that you made. And it's a good way to combining real life situations and examples with simulating it still open up for dialogue. But I think definitely the dialogue that we had now is where we learn and put different perspectives on it. That's at least my thoughts.
Definitely. I see that we're running a little bit out of time, which is a shame because I think I had like 5 more questions for you, Mandy, on top of the ones that I'm making up as I go because I'm getting a little bit excited about the directions we're taking. But I want to ask you a final question before we have to kind of round off, which is like for someone who is maybe just starting out having to work within a team, even leading a team, managing a team, someone at least who's maybe not so used to working with other people. Do you have one piece of advice that you think this is the golden rule to communication? No matter what level you're working in, this is the advice I will leave you with.
Wow, one level of one piece of advice. I would say just be curious towards the other people, because every person has their own specifics, and the more curious you are, the better you will listen, and the more empathy you will feel also for that person's way of working, which will allow you as a new manager to then be more effective in the way how you are working with that person, I would say. So that would be my advice. Be curious towards everyone that you are meeting and working with.
That's a great advice.
I think it's a golden piece of advice, Mandy.
Very
Thank you so
golden.
much for sharing that. All right. Just before we close off the rest of the day, I want to make sure that if you are watching this and you thought this was great, I would love to learn some more. We have some upcoming events. It's on Tuesdays. It's this time. It's in this format. And we have some cool guests who want to join in and share their insights about using Acti or their wishes for Acti and so on. So it's gonna be about a game, but we'll always, I think, from now on, have an extra guest with us to add some real life takes on these simulations.
Yes.
So if you haven't already, take a look at our events on LinkedIn and sign up. Even if you can't make it, if you've signed up, you have access to the recording of the event afterwards. So you do with that information as you wish, but my recommendation would be to sign up.
Please do, everyone.
But thank you so much for participating today, and I hope that you guys are going to take some of Mandy's great pieces of advice with you. Be curious, twice the amount of listening as speaking. Any other great cliches we've mentioned today? And
find a common ground.
Find a common ground, but just thank you so much for joining in, Mandy. Not even having played the game or anything. I think it's really great that you wanted to join in and have a chance to share your insights in this. And it's your first time insights. I think is probably even more valuable.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
All right. I think I'm just gonna sign off then. Thank you so much for today. Have a wonderful evening out there and enjoy the sunshine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.